It was absolutely disgusting. And the fact that Leslie Stahl just let Marjorie Taylor Greene walk all over her, it was one of the, I'll just say this. There's a new breed of media candidate and media punditry and legislator who operates in the media all the time. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is a classic example of it. She doesn't speak particularly well, as you know, but she is completely uncowed by any sort of back and forth when it comes to facts. She has her talking points loaded, and she just keeps on going. But when she calls Democrats pedophiles, this is just one example of the craziness that she uncorks, and Leslie Stahl just kind of goes tisk, tisk. How do you let her get away with that? You let her redefine what pedophile is. When you send a legacy media person like Leslie Stahl, who, again, she's a solid journalist or was, to meet the new kind of media-savvy blowtorch that is Marjorie Taylor Greene, it's a mismatch. And it feels as though Leslie Stahl is going to own her. No, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to own Leslie Stahl, and that's exactly what happened.
So here's the question for you as a journalist. Is it your job to ask the question and then just leave the answer out there? Let her answer stand on the record? Or is it your job to then call her when she starts spewing lies and misinformation?
It's your job to call her when she starts spewing lies. That's exactly what the media didn't do with Donald Trump. You're not a human mic stand. I mean, why is Leslie Stahl there? If you're going to pay Leslie Stahl millions of dollars, all those people on 60 Minutes make sick amounts of money, and they deserve it. I'm not resenting that they bring a lot of, boys to the yard. 60 Minutes does really well in terms of numbers. But what I would say is, you as a journalist, you have an absolute obligation to push back on lies. That's also what makes a better interview. Otherwise, send an intern out there with a bunch of blue cards, read the questions, let Marjorie Taylor Greene say whatever she wants, then you can take the interview, cut it up back at 60 Minutes headquarters, have Leslie Stahl do a couple of stand-ups in the middle, and just run it. I mean, it's outrageous that Leslie Stahl let her steamroller that way. It was embarrassing, I thought.
I feel like there's nothing Leslie Stahl could have said that would not have ended up in an argument. Marjorie Taylor Greene's opinions or, ridiculous theories and thoughts are not going to be changed.
Well, this is the part, and you're hearing this now, and there's a part of it, it's true. You can go, well, what was she supposed to do? Well, I'll give you one example of what she's supposed to do. Maybe Stahl, I'll just say the shadow producer, Calvin Wong, says maybe Stahl thought the audience would already know better and let Marjorie say whatever, even if it's dead wrong. Yeah, and this is Karen, same thing. Or do you just let her hang herself?
Right.
You don't. Let me put it in a different way that's even more stark. If you're interviewing somebody and the interview subject said a bunch of racist things, okay, whatever the most awful racist things that you can imagine, okay, about inferiority of races or superiority of another race, whatever it might be, because that's what this is. You're talking about pedophilia, okay. Would you just let it stand? What do you think? Or do you challenge that? I feel
like it's important, especially if the information isn't out in the world, to let those words stand on record. What you're saying is, these are your opinions. And what I'm saying as a journalist by airing that is saying it's important for you to understand who this person is in their own words. That's it. It's
well,
not
then in
my
that case,
opinion.
you don't need journalists. Then you really don't.
Well,
you just need somebody to hold the mic. I mean, I'm sorry. That is a total takedown on journalism.
There's a difference between a journalist and a conversation with a talk show host or a panel where I can give my opinion, you can give your opinion. A journalist's point isn't to give opinion. A journalist's point is to give facts. Get the interview.
Well, so it's not that. That's the question of access. Then you're saying a journalist just has to have a good Rolodex. Here's Jim Avila. I was disappointed Leslie knew what she was going to say. Fact checking in real time is important.
Right.
Watch Jon Stewart. He does it best. Well,
yes.
Mehdi Hassan does it. Jim Stewart, it seems to be doing it recently. I mean, it's not hard. It's absolutely outrageous to think that you're allowed to just, I ask the question, and then the person, whatever they say, stands on their own. Whatever, those facts stands on their own.
Happened to I provide you the facts, and you provide the opinion. Whatever happened to let the public make their own decision on the information they're
on
getting?
The facts, Kim, yes. Will you let this person is being elevated to a platform on 60 Minutes, and then she's spewing things that aren't factual, and you're saying you should just let her go and not push back on her. That's absurd.
But we all know it's not factual.
Why are you yelling?
I mean, she's crazy.
No, we don't all know that 30% of America is going right on. Maybe more is going right on. I'll tell you the truth. At the end of that back and forth about pedophiles, I thought, wow, there's a bunch of people who don't know what pedophiles actually are or what pedophilia is, and they now have had it redefined for them by Marjorie Taylor Greene because Leslie Stahl didn't bother to tell them that's not what pedophilia is. And when you call somebody a pedophile, that's actually not what you're referring to as what Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying.
Why are you yelling?
Go ahead and run it, Tony, please. Run that part where she's talking about, this is just one example of how a fact is perverted. So all of a sudden, it's allowed to stand on its own, and Leslie didn't do anything.
Democrats are a party of pedophiles.
I would definitely say so. They support grooming children.
They are not pedophiles. Why would you say that?
Democrats support, even Joe Biden, the president himself, supports children being sexualized and having transgender surgeries. Sexualizing children is what pedophiles do to children.
Wow.
Is that journalism, what she just did? Wow. And she looks up? No, that's what my mom does. Okay, that's what a grandmother does. Mm-hmm. That is not what a journalist does. A journalist says, no, Marjorie Taylor Greene, pedophilia is the sexual attraction to underage kids, to prepubescent children. Right. That's what pedophilia is.
Why are you yelling?
So the idea somehow that you let her get away with commingling policy when it comes to transgender issues in America, and this notion of pedophilia, because pedophilia is what? It's a radioactive word. It's a great word. It's horrifying. If somebody calls someone a pedophile, Democrats are pedophiles. How the hell do you let her get away with that?
Why are you yelling?
So all I'm trying to say is I thought she rolled over for MTG. And somehow she, I think in the back of her mind, thought, well, this is so absurd what this woman is saying that it will stand on its own. No, it's not so absurd. So many Americans are now believing it. This is a cult of thought that's accepted by 30% at minimum of the population. I think when it comes to this issue of sexuality and transgender, it may even exceed that number. So that's where I am on this. I thought Stahl got ambushed. She thought somehow that Greene would be embarrassed by these comments, and instead she doubled down on him.
Yeah, it's a little embarrassing. Good day, sir. I would say. And you're right about fact checking, about putting the right facts out in the world, because those aren't the right facts. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, standing by, saying Democrats support children being sexualized. She said sexualizing children is what pedophiles do to children. And of course, as Mark says, no, she got it wrong. She's not quite smart enough to understand the definition there.
Or she is, and she's smart enough to know that she can twist it for her own political gain by, it's what Trump does, where he says all Democrats are fill in the blank. You know, un-American, traitorous, pedophiles, fill it in. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.